Hello and welcome to Cyber Sidekicks, the weekly cybersecurity podcast hosted by Richmond Advisory Group's principal analysts, that's namely me, Rory Duncan.
And me, Christina Richmond. This podcast is your go-to partner for understanding the cybersecurity market, industry trends, and the real-world challenges of protecting organizations today. Indeed, it is. And we talk about real-world challenges. Last week, we talked about the digital front line.
We did.
The war in Iran and other parts of the Middle East. We talk about industry trends, and indeed, today we're talking about the MDR market and some trends in that.
Yes.
So indeed, I think it's a true intro. I get tired of saying the same thing over and over again, but it is a good thing to have a regular intro, and it is true. So I just had to point that out to myself, I guess, Rory. How are you today?
Well, that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay.
Now that you're off your soapbox, then yeah, I'm absolutely fine. Thank you very much.
Wait, so Rory put something into one of the bots about our personalities on the podcast, and soapbox did not come up, Rory.
Did it not?
And it did not. And that was very interesting. They called me a cyber chick. I guess I've called myself a cyber chick, but but no soapbox.
Yeah, no soapbox. I think it was being quite complimentary and non-controversial.
Sycophantic?
Yeah, probably.
Sycophantic, yes. Non-confrontational.
Yeah.
As they are.
Exactly. I think if there are some that you can actually ask them to roast you if you really want.
It's true.
I don't particularly want or need that. So
I don't think we need it either. Okay, enough banter here. We are under a week until we see one another and all of you, we hope, at RSAC.
Yeah, exactly. It is when this episode comes out, it'll be less than a week. We're recording it a few days before that. So we are completely booked in terms of scheduled meetings. I appreciate everybody reaching out now. And I know a lot of folk are basically not necessarily saying, oh, can we have a meeting? But saying, oh, if you happen to be passing by, drop by, whether it's the Philippines Pavilion or the Flanders Pavilion or whatever. Yeah.
Or booth A or booth C
exactly.
or booth 85.
Whoever it happens to be. If we find ourselves passing and we see something interesting, we'll probably drop in and say hello. And again, just to reiterate, we'll be covering the trends, innovations, M&A activity, and so on. And we'll be recording a special podcast for the show.
Well, we're doing a bunch of recording, aren't we? I mean, I think we're doing one main one, and we have some special guests, and we're going to be talking about some interesting things, and that'll be video and audio. But I think, didn't you book some other ones, Rory?
Kind of made myself slightly unpopular by demanding all sorts of times, but I guess they have to eke out the availability of the recording studios. And just FYI, folks listening, you're not allowed to record within the Moscone Center itself unless you use union labor. So they have a special media alley, it's called, which has little kind of mini studios with sofas and things. They're really good. And the folks that do the recording are absolute pros. They provide you with all the footage that you can edit. However, demand is high, so we need to kind of do a bit of hustling to get some more time. However, it doesn't mean that we won't be doing anything there. It just means we wouldn't be doing it inside the Moscone Center itself.
Right, we'll do it on the street or in front of our dumpster accommodations that we've got, something like that.
And there's a really nice park just across the road from the center. I can't remember its name.
Oh, it's the Yerba Buena.
Yeah. It's lovely. A really nice place to sit and chill. There's a little, there's kind of a waterfall. There's lovely trees and sculpture and things. So you may see us there as a backdrop.
So grab us if you see us. If we're like the Flash, and you can't stop us because we're just this streak of lightning going by, just yell our names and maybe we'll be able to stop in time and say hello. We get so many wonderful drive-by hellos and hugs. We love a good hug. So looking forward to seeing you there and reporting back, what we thought. Yeah, so this week we're doing a special set of conversations on certain areas of the market. And the first one that we're doing in this special series is the MDR market.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about horses, in fact. Dark horses. Yes. And that's important, because dark horses are the ones that you just don't see, and suddenly, whoosh, there they are, galloping in. And it's kind of an analogy, as we like to use, for some of the companies in this particular sector that you might not expect could be the winners or future winners or leaders in this segment. So we're going to kind of get into this and kind of go backwards and forwards between each of us and look at this market. So the MDR market, it's been around for a long time, been expanding since its inception. I think, Christina, you and I have discussed this before. Who invented the market? So 2013 with EDR, and then became MDR, so managed detection and response, in 2016 when Gartner provided the definition.
Well, and you know who it was at Gartner? It was Anton Chuvakin, a friend, ex-analyst, now over at Google. He's a tinkerer. Yeah. So Anton actually coined the term MDR.
Right. Okay. I know eCentire would probably disagree, in as much as they said, it's been around for ages. We've been doing it for 23 years beforehand anyway, so that's fine. But anyway, if we look at the providers today, and I know I've been looking extensively through who's exhibiting and who's going to be at RSAC this year, there are allegedly over 600 providers globally that claim they do MDR. Right. So, but if you look more deeply into what people are actually shortlisting and why they are saying that they're doing MDR, some do it better than others. Some are doing it more deeply than others. Some are a bit broader in terms of what they offer. But there's an interesting mix of names that keep bubbling to the top. And let's start with those particular companies. As Christina says, they're the known leaders, the usual suspects. Who is winning the popularity contest right now, Christina?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting mix, right, Rory? And we've talked about all of these companies. CrowdStrike, of course, belle of the ball, heavyweight champion in the surveys we've done in the last 18 months, often appears as the top choice for many. Certainly their market share, right, in EDR alone, and their stock price are evidence of that. Their stock price was, right after the outage in 2024, was a low of 217, but it's back up yesterday to 442 a share. So it didn't hurt them that much. They came back, and they are still the belle of the ball. Following them, you've got Microsoft, with their Defender product, Rapid7, Palo Alto Networks, and Red Canary are tied. Palo and Red Canary are tied. And Arctic Wolf and Sophos are right after them. And these are the names that have come up over the last 18 months in surveys where we've asked, who's on your short list? Who have you worked with? Who do you like? Why do you like them? But there are others, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And, it's the same in other industries. If you look at infrastructure services, application services, and so on, there are certain names that will always come up because companies will use perhaps part of their portfolio or some of their services. So the question then is, as a IT leader or a security operations leader, do I have to buy their specific tech stack, or will they work with what I've already spent X millions on or hundreds of thousands on? And it brings us to this question of vendor agnosticism versus stack focused, which is this fork in the road.
Yeah, exactly. I would say that vendor agnostic MDR, often, called bring your own tools. It means the provider integrates with your existing EDR, your SIEM, your cloud logs, via APIs and connectors.
Right.
Leading the charge here would be companies like Expel, Red Canary, Arctic Wolf. Expel, whom we're meeting with at RSA, by the way, has a huge reputation for working with your existing EDR, like a SentinelOne or a CrowdStrike, and then layering on their analyst-led investigation. Red Canary is similar. They're built to correlate alerts from third-party signals without forcing you onto, one proprietary platform. And even Rapid7 and Deepwatch are known for this flexibility, allowing folks to keep their preferred tools while outsourcing the actual eyes-on-glass work.
Okay, so that's the bring your own tools brigade. Sounds great. What about the other side?
Oh, the other side. So on the other side, you have the platform-led or the tightly coupled providers. So like Sophos is expanding, I think, but for now we'll just keep them in this platform-led bucket. They are becoming more vendor agnostic, but I would say both Sophos and SentinelOne with their Singularity platform, those are often cited as being optimized for their own products, as is CrowdStrike. I mean, again, we have to come back to CrowdStrike because while they work on their agnosticism, they also really prefer that you use Falcon. So while these are really powerful platforms, they can lead to kind of that vendor lock-in that buyers don't like because the service is so integrated into their specific telemetry.
Right.
So it's a trade-off. Do you want the flexibility of bring your own technology or the potentially deeper performance of a unified stack? That's the question.
Yeah, and I know we've covered this particular aspect before, that as many of the larger companies are offering additional services on top of what they already have, perhaps bundled or part of a larger suite, which gives a better value option. Yeah. We've already seen through the survey work that we've done and the discussions we've had that buyers are tending to lean towards expertise over just a cheap solution. So things like access to 24/7 SOC experts being one of the key reasons for picking a provider. And then also end-to-end visibility, advanced detection techniques, which brings in the whole, AI-driven threat modeling aspect. It's not always about the price. In fact, it's in a minority of respondents that we've seen. It was a primary factor.
Yeah. And the classic reasons that folks are choosing MDR, those are still valid, the ones that you listed. But we kind of have to update our thinking on this, right? 24/7 threat detection, absolutely core, not going to go away, right? Duh. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
But the SANS SOC survey, the 2025 survey they had said 79% of SOCs now operate around the clock. That's a lot. I remember doing marketscapes for IDC and having the leaders, the very few who had the 24/7, 5 nines around the globe, right? It was very few. 79% now operate SOCs around the clock, which shows how normal it is now to have that continuous coverage. Yeah. So yes, MDR buying guides still lead with true 24/7 monitoring and response is a must-have. Threat complexity, it'll never end. Response speed, still one of the most important factors, right? Because you don't just want detection, you want investigation and containment. But internal gaps or the skills shortage, which I debate with many about this actually. Is it a skills shortage, Rory, or is it a lack of gray beards and we just want gray beards?
Yeah. Is it a people shortage in many ways? Maybe it's a philosophical question about, are we going too quickly to look at bots and AI being a substitute or a complement to the people we have? And that's fine if you have the greybeards and the skilled people to do that. If not, that's when it becomes an issue, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, skill gaps, people gaps, still a trigger for MDR adoption. The one thing, Rory, about 18 months ago that has sort of changed a little bit. I mean, compliance is still important, especially in the regulated industries, but it's not quite the number one reason it was before, right? Things are switching. People buyers who are buying MDR want risk reduction.
Yeah. They want
auditability. They want evidence. They don't just want to say, check, I did my compliance thing, right? So I would just updating our list to make it a little bit more modern. Yes, the core buying themes are the same. Compliance has changed a bit. And risk has it's beginning to move into that front seat. If you can help me look at my business risk, show me risk reduction, talk about auditability and show me the evidence, that's a little bit different than just pure compliance. Yeah. It helps me with my overall risk.
Yeah, there's that heightened awareness of resiliency, but from a existential as well as a legal or adversarial perspective. I think that's definitely there. Yeah. I mean, if it would be great if it was just a tick box for compliance, but actually, as we know, it's a lot more complex than that these days.
Yeah.
Well, so those are the big dogs, those that are leading the sector, and you've gone through what they offer and the two different approaches, but things are shifting fast. And again, just to preface some of the work that we've been doing and looking at meeting folks at RSAC, there are too many people to meet. There's too much going on. There's too many new innovations happening on multiple fronts. So you've put together a 5+, which I think is great. That's a kind of how long is a piece of string? Well, 5+. So let's start at 5, but then there's more. So these are the 5+ to watch for 2026 based on momentum, acquisitions, and AI moves. Tell us more.
I will, but I also think we should mention here, and maybe we decided to mention it later, but we have a blog out that talks about dark horses. So we will get to the dark horses in this chat. But yes, the 5+ to watch. So some of the ones to watch aren't just the top vendors. They're also the ones reshaping what MDR even means. So you have to list CrowdStrike, Palo Alto. You have to.
Yeah.
They're both clear leaders. CrowdStrike pushing into what they call AIDR, the AI detection and response. Their acquisitions of Pangea to secure the enterprise AI and Signal, SGNL, to deepen their identity security, show they want to be the operating layer for the entire AI era SOC. They've moved well beyond being an endpoint company. They're now identity, network, cloud, and also AI lifecycle platform.
Okay.
But then you also have to bring in Palo, right? So they're making probably the boldest M&A moves. We've covered them quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tell us about who they bought and what they're up to.
So, I mean, they're one of the big serial acquirers, right? In this sector. We're always keeping an eye on what they're doing. So they bought Protect AI and CyberArk last year, 2025, and spent a pretty penny on those. And they introduced the Cortex Agentics. So that's AGNTI with a big X at the end. So they're building a control plane that secures AI agents, applications, and cloud operations all at once. And I think, to your point, Christina, if 2026 is the year of agentic AI, which it appears to be leading all of the conversations that we have, then
indeed,
Palo Alto Networks is positioned to pretty much own that conversation and where they're going.
Yes, those are the top companies. I think no one could argue with that. I mean, in terms of share, CrowdStrike is just below Microsoft in share with just EDR by itself. And Palo is certainly nipping at both of their heels. And everyone has partnerships with everyone else, if you will. Both CrowdStrike and Palo have partnerships with Microsoft. But then you can't forget one of the bring your own technology companies, Arctic Wolf, and sure, they do now have their own EDR capabilities, having acquired Cylance, and they also have bought Revelstoke for SOAR. So they're moving a little bit out of that BYOT, just managing the buyer's tools, to actually owning some of the underlying control stack with their Aurora platform. So I would put those three as the top ones that are reshaping what MDR even means. What do you think, Rory?
Yeah, that's really good. They come up again and again, but there's something else. There's something missing. And I hear the sound of galloping hooves in the background. It's those pest...
Do you have a sound effect for that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I have many sound effects. Many.
Oh, dear.
I have to hold myself back that it's not just one after one sound effect.
Pull the reins in, Rory. Pull the reins in.
It would sound like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon if it wasn't for me restraining myself. But yeah, the dark horses, these are the ones that might surprise people. The ones that perhaps we were aware of, but could be the ones to provide some kind of new life and a different approach to this whole market. Now, you mentioned Sophos, IBM, and Microsoft. Is there one that stands out as the biggest threat to the status quo?
Well, there is one, and we'll get to it. And we're kind of burying the lead here, folks. So you have to stay on till the end of our chat. There is one we think really is set to pull away from the pack. And, we'll get to that. But let's first start with Sophos, just because you brought them up. I would call them the integration and value dark horse.
Okay.
So with their acquisition of SecureWorks in early 2025, that was a game changer because it brought in SecureWorks' Taegis XDR platforms that really gave Sophos this new way to put all their toys into one basket, if you will. They've also moved toward including third-party integrations in firewall and network and cloud and identity. Listen to this, at no extra cost.
Oh, wow.
That is a massive go-to-market shift toward being more open. So integration and value, dark horse. I wouldn't say they're the dark horse.
Okay. So what about IBM?
Yeah. People wouldn't think of IBM as a dark horse at all, I'm sure. But you and I know a little bit, right? I would call them the enterprise transformation sleeper. So they have the scale and the X-Force intelligence, but they're often seen as a slow-moving services giant. That's true. They've been around a long time, since our grandparents worked for them, right? They are interesting, right, for the large regulated enterprises that need that global reach. But they aren't necessarily the ones that are reshaping the narrative right now. But I don't know. I would caution folks to keep their eye on IBM because, as you and I know, there are some disruptor moves afoot.
Yeah, I agree. And having worked for IBM back in the day before I had a beard, there are so many moving parts to IBM that you can get surprised quite quickly when you've got a kind of a dynamic, fast-moving group that has a solid executive sponsorship behind it to go do things. So yeah, we will always be keeping an eye on IBM for that reason. Okay, so then that's IBM. What about Microsoft? Can a giant like Microsoft, in the same way as IBM is a giant, also be a dark horse?
No, I don't think so. Not really. So they are a major force. Of course, they are the number one share in EDR. So they are a major force, but they're too visible to be a dark horse. They're defender experts for XDR. It's a powerful ecosystem gravity play. So if you're already all in an M365 and a Sentinel, it's the path of least resistance. But their attractiveness is mostly limited to their own estate. So I would not call them a dark horse. They are a major force.
So there may be a sort of a gray horse then. Not necessarily a dark horse. Okay.
Not a dark horse.
Fair enough.
A transparent horse.
A transparent horse. Oh dear. I wouldn't want that.
That would be weird.
That would be very strange. And so, final name on the list. And this is the moment we've all been waiting for. So the one that you're calling,
we need a little drum roll.
Exactly. The best dark horse for 2026.
The best one would be Google SecOps.
Ooh. Okay.
Ooh.
Why? I mean, we know Google for many different reasons. Why are you calling them out?
Yeah, I mean, we know them for search engine or cloud provider or Gmail, but that's exactly why they are a dark horse in security and in SecOps. People underestimate them in a way. So certainly people are familiar with SecOps, Google SecOps, and Mandiant's intelligence. Right. Certainly they know that, but there's more, and they're running on a pace right now, and they're working with partners on some of these game-changing things that until RSA we can't discuss because they're under NDA, but there's some really interesting things coming out in the next week. And
some of this, I mean, the conversation inevitably will go on to the agentic AI area.
Oh, right? Yeah, precisely. Yeah. So Google are positioning their platform around using AI agents to triage, investigate, and respond while the human analysts stay in control. So while many vendors claim AI, that AI washing that we've talked about, Google actually has the search and telemetry and the data infrastructure to back it up. So they are moving toward an AI native SOC. So I think with this, sort of planet scale telemetry, this massive amount of telemetry they have, and then the Mandiant grade response, I think Google SecOps is climbing the shortlist and should be climbing the shortlist for buyers very quickly.
And how much does the jaw-dropping multi-billion-dollar acquisition of Wiz last year figure in this?
Yeah, they haven't said much, right? We haven't heard boo. What is it? Tickety boo? What's tickety boo, by the way?
Oh, if it's going fine, tickety boo is the kind of posh version of the Scottish fine.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't mean that then. What I really mean is the American. You haven't heard boo about it. You haven't heard anything. It's been crickets. So I would say here's my philosophizing, if you will. I think Google SecOps gets even stronger as a dark horse if you explicitly bring Wiz into the story. The core reason is, right, they already have the 3 ingredients, the Mandiant credibility, the Chronicle scale telemetry and search. You've got the Agentic SOC push, right? So all of that is already happening. But then what Wiz adds is the piece that I think will make Google's position much more complete. And I might know a little something around this. I might not. I can't say. I might have to kill you if I did say. So, yeah.
Okay.
But just taking the outside perspective, if you just look at Wiz's deep graph-driven cloud context, right? That's pretty slick. They announced that the goal in March last year, they announced that the goal with Wiz was to build a more comprehensive security platform for modern IT environments across major clouds. Right? Okay, this is important because SecOps is strong in operations and investigation, while Wiz is strong in cloud exposure, attack path context, cloud to cloud correlation, or code to cloud correlation, runtime visibility, prioritization through the Wiz security graph.
Okay, that's sounding very intriguing. So, how do the two of them come together then, if they do?
Right, if they do. So Google SecOps plus Wiz could become a far more complete platform because it would connect that SOC operations piece to the cloud native exposure context in a much tighter way.
Can you explain a little bit more, because I'm not quite getting it? I mean, this is to your point, and folks, just without flogging a dead horse, we're still on the horse analogies, flogging a dead dark horse maybe, because so much of what Wiz is doing, we still have to find out. It was a massive acquisition. There's obviously lots of things going on in the background. None of our questions have been answered, but assuming that goes ahead, Google executes on it, it becomes part of their overall security strategy. What will happen?
Rory, thank you. You're always the voice of reason. As the bots have clearly seen, Rory is always the very clear, logical, very reasonable part of the team.
Oh, yes.
But I'm going to be the visionary dreamer that I like to be, and I could be wrong. So there's my caveat.
Fair enough.
4 reasons that I think, if Google executes well, 4 reasons I think we will expect them to really gallop into the full dark horse status. So the much richer cloud to SOC correlation, right?
Okay.
So Wiz was already integrating with Google security operations before the acquisition.
Right.
It was already a part of the Unified Security Recommended program, and they already had a planned Google Threat Intelligence integration. So technical and go-to-market groundwork was already there.
Right.
Number 2, now I would expect Google SecOps story to get stronger around prioritization. Because Wiz's main strength is not just finding cloud issues, it's using their security graph to connect the identities, the workloads, the data, the runtime, the code, blah, 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 right? And then connect that into the Google SecOps stuff, and the investigations become much stronger. Analysts can move from there is an alert to this is the blast radius, the exposure path, and the likely remediation priority much faster. So you with me so far?
Yeah, no, that's the second. That's 1 and 2. What about the third
All right. So 3 would be AI and agent security, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Google's already leaning hard in, but Wiz also has been building AI security capabilities, including the AI SPM positioning and the AI runtime security content and the MCP related automation and workflow support. So that could help Google tell this broader story than just traditional MDR vendors. We don't just monitor the SOC, we don't just help you remediate, but we secure. We actually truly can see into the cloud, into the code, into the runtime, into the AI systems, and secure those and the SOC workflow. So that's number 3.
That's top to bottom then. That's incredible. Okay, so by stealth in a way, it's covering everything. So then number 4 then, fourth aspect.
So the 4th reason that dark horse status would improve with most buyers who care about this multi-cloud and cloud native operations, it's just a stronger story because Google then with Wiz can claim visibility into all modern cloud and application environments. So, I've kind of said it already, and it's not like it's really a number 4. It's kind of a wrap up of all the things I've said, but I had to reiterate it because I don't know. It's kind of like CrowdStrike with their cloud visibility, Palo with their cloud capabilities with Cortex. Those are really good. Somehow the CNAP and the graph, the security graph capabilities that Wiz have built are so strong that I think it's going to propel Google even faster into a top of list, into a short list favorite for the buyer.
Well, that's a really interesting explanation. There's a lot in there that folks can perhaps rewind and re-listen to again. So it's very clear that if you're looking for a safe bet today, the kind of known bets, right? It's all about the usual suspects. It's CrowdStrike and Microsoft. If you want vendor agnostic flexibility, then you look at Arctic Wolf, at Expel, or at Red Canary. But if you want to see where the puck is going with AI and data scale, Google SecOps is the absolute dark horse to watch.
Yeah, right? Spot on. Yeah, spot on. The market's shifting from, do you have a SOC? To how fast can your AI agents and your human experts actually contain a breach across everything, not just my infrastructure, but across my entire cloud, my hybrid cloud, all of my identity footprint, including agents. That is the new 2026 standard.
Yeah, that's
really okay, right? It's philosophizing. I'm doing what we analysts like to do, which is, pontificate.
Pontificate.
Pontificate. Well, no, we like to look at the future. We like to sort of think about where have we been, what has occurred in the last several years, where's the market headed, and who should you watch out for?
Great. Well, I know you've written a blog on the top MDR companies to watch. It should be on the website now. We've been refreshing our browsers, folks, just to make sure it's actually published. I am in the process of writing a blog on the ways that AI and agentic AI can help transform the provision of MDR and XDR services. But to wrap up, folks, that's our coverage of the MDR market. Stay tuned to next quarter, and we'll do a deep dive on another market yet to be determined.
That was fun, Rory. Thanks so much. We hope you have a wonderful week ahead. We hope you join us again next week. And you can reach us at Christina@richmondadvisorygroup.com and
Rory at richmondadvisorygroup.com. Thanks for joining us. Hope you found this episode interesting. Feedback is always welcome. And with that, we hope that you can join us again next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.